Hi, and welcome to the special editions of Open for Business. So we called them Open for Business USA. We've set aside some Wednesdays where we can specifically speak to some of our friends over stateside. And we're kicking off today with a lovely guy, Adam Platt. He's a coach, speaker, trainer. Is the website Arise to Connect, all the way from Utah. We'll be chatting to him in a few moments. But if you're watching this live, please do drop a comment in the comments. Or sorry, drop a question in the comments if you're watching on the replay. Hashtag replay to drop a question in, because even after we've been done and we've had our live shows, we can have comments and we can still bring people on and we can still pass those questions over to Adam as well. So without further ado, let me bring Adam on, and welcome from Utah, Adam Platt. Lovely to meet you, sir. And
you as well.
Oh, thank you. And I forgot in the introduction. I was so excited. I forgot to mention you are also the father of 5 girls. I mean, that is amazing. Congratulations, sir. The patience of a saint.
Yes, I do have 5 daughters. My wife and I are very blessed in that regard, and it's a lot of fun. It's one of the only few times people say "bless me," or "bless my heart" is when they find out I have 5 daughters. So.
Oh, no, that's amazing. Cool. So Adam, please do tell us. You're in Utah. You have your own company. You're a coach. Can you tell us a little bit about how you started and where you got to and how you're doing now? So, if you just, the stage is yours.
Okay. Yeah. So it started. Well, there's a long story of my life of having learning disability when I was young, and feeling like I was stupid, and having a lot of self-esteem issues and low self-confidence, and that all accumulated throughout my life until I met my wife and we got married and we started having children, and things, we had our ups and downs, and there was a time in my life where I started having a lot of downs. I just was feeling really depressed. It was right after, so I have the 5 daughters, and we had 3 children, and then we found out we were blessed with twins. And it was right after we had our twins in 2013 that I should have been super happy and excited for life and taking care of these beautiful new children that we had brought home, and I just felt really stuck in life. And I felt stuck in my career. I felt stuck in my relationships with my children, my wife, my parents, my siblings, everybody. And I felt stuck in my finances. I didn't feel like I could support my family like I should have as a father. I wasn't making an amount of money that I thought I should be making to support 5 children. And that really caused a downward spiral of depression for me. And it was in that time that I started having what my wife called my moods. And I was having more and more of them as time went on. And I came home from work one day and I was in one of my moods. And I remember my wife could tell that I was in one of them. And she basically said, "Hey, I'm going to take the kids over to my parents and just be there for a few hours and let you just be by yourself for a little while. And let you work through whatever is going on in your head." And she wasn't mean about it. She wasn't, being like, "I'm getting out of here" or anything. She just said, "I just want you to be by yourself for a little bit." And I for some reason took that as she hated me. I already had these negative feelings about myself, and it hurt my feelings that she was just like, "I'm going to leave. I just want to get away from you," is how I took it. Even though she said it as lovingly as possible, I took it as she just wanted to leave. And I remember sitting there thinking to myself, maybe the world would be better without Adam. Maybe I should just take myself out of the world.
Yeah.
And so I started thinking of ways I could do it, and I came up with a plan. And I remember sitting in our bedroom. I was sitting on the bed, and I was getting ready to execute my plan of taking myself out of this life. And this very distinct thought then came into my head, and it's what changed everything. And the thought was simply, what would your family do without you?
Yeah.
And that really hit home to me. And I believe that it was heaven sent. I don't believe it was my own thinking. I believe that it came down from whatever you want to believe, a higher being or whatever. But I'm a religious person, and so I feel like it was a message from heaven. And just that thought of, what would your kids do without a father? What would your wife do without a husband? And it was at that moment that I broke down and I started crying. And I knew that something had to change in my life. Yeah. And I need to stop blaming everybody else for where I was. Because at that time I was blaming my boss for not giving me a raise. I was blaming my, everybody, my coworkers, for not recognizing the work I did. And I was trying to blame everybody but looking at myself and saying, what am I doing that I should be doing better in life? And it was when I had that shift in mindset of looking at myself that everything started to change. And it took some time. Like, it wasn't like instant, like everything clicked, but I started looking for answers. And as I looked for answers, I discovered the opportunity to start personal development. And as I started going down that road of personal development and shifting my mindset from blame and from a victim mindset to a more of what I call a hero mindset of, I can take my life anywhere I want if I choose to. And when that mindset changed, everything started to move. And my wife and I, then we started attending seminars, going to self-help seminars. I started reading books, started just buying online courses and just taking all this stuff in. And we saw such an impact on not only our lives and our relationship with each other, but also our children. We had 5 kids that started seeing the change in us, and they started saying to themselves, wow, what's going on with mom and dad? They're not arguing as much. They're a lot happier now, and they don't get so upset about the little things anymore.
Yeah.
And they started to shift as well.
That's a powerful thing you've been saying. Can I just ask, at the time when you were at your lowest and your job, at that time, were you reading any books, or was it all just work?
Yeah, I mean, it was,
because we hear this a lot, to be honest.
Yeah, so I wasn't really doing a lot of work on myself. I would maybe go on like Instagram and see like a little inspirational quote pop up every once in a while. I'd be like, oh, that's neat, right? But that was about the extent of it. And it got so bad that my boss at work actually said, hey, when we have team meetings, I want Adam to come in and share an inspirational quote. And that's why I started looking for quotes on Instagram. Is just to find something to share. But so he could actually see how bad I was getting at work. My boss, that's pretty bad. And so yeah, I wasn't doing any work on myself. I was blaming my wife that she was not connecting with me the way I wanted to connect, which is usually for men physically, right?
Yeah.
And but I wasn't connecting with her emotionally because I was pulling away from her. And so I realized after all that happened and after working on myself what I was doing to her, and everything started moving and changing for me once I realized that.
Cool. And because say that, I mean, I'm guessing that must have been a tough conversation you had with your wife at that stage as well.
Yeah. So I remember she came home that night when the evening that I thought about possibly taking my life, and she came home, and she could tell that I was still upset, but something had changed. And I said, hey, can I talk to you for a minute? And I took her in the bedroom, and I said, hey, I just want you to know that I really got super close to almost taking my life tonight because I was in such despair.
Yeah.
And she's like, why? Why would you do that? Like, I love you. Like, and it was just like this burden of, one, I was scared to tell her, but I'm like, I need to tell her. I need to let her know what was going on and how deep and dark place I was in. But it was also that I need to build that trust with her as well.
Yeah.
And she started crying with me, and she's like, don't ever think about doing that again. Like, we need you. I love you. And so it was a hard conversation, but it was really good conversation. And from there we we both said, hey, we both just need to figure out something and how to move forward and start working on it. And again, it wasn't like this overnight. And actually, it was funny. My mother actually bought us our very first tickets to a self-help seminar, and she gave it to us for Christmas.
Oh, wow.
And I was super mad. Like, I was so upset because at that point I was like, I know something needs to change, but I didn't know what needed to change. I just knew something needed to change. And she usually just gave us some money for Christmas, which was super nice. But she gave us these tickets. She's like, "Oh, your sister talked me into buying these tickets for you." And I was like, I was trying to like be like, "Oh, thanks, Mom." But when she left, I turned to my wife. I'm like, I can't believe she did that, and I was so mad. And my wife actually knew about it because she had met with they have a girls' breakfast for Christmas with my sisters and my mother and stuff. My mom had told my wife about it, that she was going to do this, and so she knew about it. And she's kind of like, well, maybe it's something we need. And so I remember going to that very first seminar, and it was a few months later before we went. And I was still so mad and upset about it. And I remember going, and we sat in the very back, and I sat there with my arms crossed. I'm like, this is dumb. All these people are bouncing around, and they're so happy. And it's like, looking back, it's like I knew something needed to change, but I wasn't willing to change in many regards until that very first day of the seminar, when something clicked. The presenter said something that just finally resonated with me. And I'm like, maybe I need to be open to this. And I started listening, and from like that very first day on, like we were sold. It was a 3-day seminar, so we went all 3 days. And from there, we started going to all kinds of stuff. We've been to Brendan Burchard and Tony Robbins, and I mean, all kinds of stuff. And so we've just totally focused on working ourselves. Our business, or Rise to Connect, is our motto is be better, do better. So basically, as you work on yourself and you be better inside, you do better in life. And so that's why we have that little saying of be better, do better, is because I know that just that shift in mindset from victim mode to, hey, if I really put my time, energy, and focus in being better and working on myself, I can do so much more and be better in life. You attract what you project, right? So I really believe that.
Yeah. Totally with you. And I think you've hit the nail, one of the nails on the head there. Is that everything is a choice, and it's it's your choice. And once you decide to do something different, you're never stuck. That's the great thing. So please carry on.
No, I was just gonna say, and you're right. Everything is a choice, and we can choose how we respond to any situation. It's interesting you said that, because I'm just in the middle of reading Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, and it's a book about him being in a concentration camp during World War II and how he survived. And the whole book, I haven't read it before. I've heard so much about it, so I finally got a copy from Amazon the other day, and I started reading it, and I haven't been able to put it down. And I'm about halfway through, and it's just amazing how he went through such atrocities during these times of living in concentration camps, but he still had a choice of how he responded. And so you're exactly right. No matter how bad life gets, no matter how many things look like they're just trying to burden you down, you still can choose and respond in any way you want. That's something that nobody can take away from you, is your free choice. Sure, they can try to take away and break your spirits, but you can still, deep down, you can choose how to respond. So I love that philosophy and that mindset of just how instead of reacting, how calmly thinking, how can I respond to the situation? And I'm not perfect. My kids still do something, and I'll be like, oh, why did you do that? And I'll get upset. But I'm so much better than I was 10 years ago or 7 years ago, or and it's been a progression, but we all have our faults still. But
yeah, no, I think we all are. Yes, I mean, the number of times I talk to people and we talk about it, saying, "Oh, yeah, you can choose to react one way, choose to," but on that split second, there's always going to something's going to tag you, and you're gonna react again. You go, "Oh, damn!"
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you catch yourself, right? You kind of get upset, and then you're like, "Oh, I shouldn't have done that." And I always am apologizing, like, "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have overreacted." But I recognize that now. Where back in the day, I never did do that.
Yeah.
And so it's a shift in how you think about it.
You have that awareness that you're doing it. So how did you move from what you were doing to your new company with your new mindsets and with your wife?
Yes. So it was about 2 years after we started working on ourselves that we're like, you know what, we've seen such a change in ourselves and our kids, and our kids started doing better in school. They started doing better how they interacted with their peers, with us, and we're like, this really is pretty powerful stuff, and we should learn how to become coaches. And so then we started investing in training on how to be coaches and how to make people shift their mindset. And it's just been such an amazing journey going down that road as we've learned how to not only coach ourselves but coach other people. And it's frustrating at the same time because we'll catch ourselves, me and my wife, coaching each other, and we know what we're doing, and so we'll get mad like, "Don't coach me right now. I don't want to be coached." And so, but then we step back and we're like, "Yeah, I probably really did need to hear that from my spouse." But you always get kind of upset because it's easier to hear it from a coach. Like if you hire a coach and they tell you something like, "Hey, you're doing this wrong," it's much easier to hear that from them than your spouse saying, "If you did it this way," or whatever. And so it's been both a blessing and a curse in some ways, but we love it. We enjoy seeing the transformation not only in ourselves, because as we work with other people, we're also working on ourselves as well. So
that's it, because you're always growing, and that's the nice thing. I'm totally with you on yes, advice from my wife or advice from my business coach. Yeah, it's easy to understand which one you can take it from, even just because it's more painful when it's in someone that knows you and loves you, and you go, "Oh," but it's a third party. Yeah, you can put it on the chin. But no, that does make me laugh. I think we all do that. So a couple of things, because of course we talk about open for business, so business owners. So how did you go about actually getting your first clients, and then can you tell us any of the challenges you had and any of the successes that you've had with them as well?
Yeah, so we just on a spur of a moment we're like, we should start a company and we should do it together, and which was amazing and very frustrating again as well. Working with your spouse in a company can be both very rewarding and very trying at the same time. But we decided to start the company, so we went and filed all the paperwork, and we came up with a name, Arise to Connect. And the reason why we came up with Arise to Connect was we felt that people need to rise up and connect more fully with both themselves, with others, and also with their higher power or God or whatever you believe in. Yeah. But we feel that that's an amazing way to really start moving and shifting your life, is that connection. We feel connection is so important. And so that's why we came up with the name Arise to Connect. So we filed our company name, and then we're like, okay, we're going to go and we're going to get all these people and we're going to start coaching them. And of course it was slow at first. It was hard. We invested in software, and we invested in training on how to do it, and things started picking up, and we got a few clients, kind of some friends, people in the neighborhood, people like that.
Yeah.
And that was good, not only for practice, but it was good to understand kind of the mentality that most people are in when most people who look for a coach, they don't really understand, at least initially, what a coach can do for them at first.
Yeah.
And we also noticed that lots of times, because at first we're like, well, I'm new at this, so I'm going to either do it for a really inexpensive price, or I'm going to do it, for free, which was good because we got experience, but it was also hard because when people don't pay, they don't pay attention.
That's true. That's very true. Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of the people that we were working for, like either very inexpensively or for a low amount, wouldn't do the work, and so it was frustrating. So we're like, okay, we've got some experience. We need to start, actually becoming coaches and charging, what we're worth, because we have all this knowledge and we know it can change lives. And so at that point, we just started increasing our fees, and we're still not like it's going to cost you $20,000 to work with us or anything like that. But we know that when people pay, they pay attention, and a lot of times just that shift of investment in yourself is enough of a shift for people to be like, okay, I'm going to do the work. Because if someone's like, hey, you're coaching me for free, but you're telling me to do this, I'm just not going to do it because I don't see the value in it. They're not going to really do it because they don't know that the value is really there. Even though, like, hey, this is stuff that I've learned from some of the top coaching people in the industry, and I know it works if you'll do it. They don't understand that because they're not paying for it like they should be. So we had to learn that the hard way, and so as we've grown, so and it's taken years, and I've grown my Instagram following to about 20,000 followers, and so it's just taken a lot of time to grow, an audience, and we've invested a lot in, like I say, software and training. And this February, of course, right before COVID hit, is when I decided to quit my full-time job, and we're going to do it full-time together. And it's been great, and it's been such a blessing in many ways, but it's been it's been a lot of work as well because of COVID. We weren't able to go and speak like we liked to, or planned on doing as much on stage, and so we've had to learn how to do more virtual stuff. And so
that's been quite a challenge from I'd always tell people, there's never a good time to quit your job. It's a bit like, having never a good time. You just got to do it and go on a path. But quit the job and then suddenly have the biggest pandemic we've seen in decades. That must have been a little bit nervy, I'd have guessed. But like everyone, the same here. My core business was paid ads online, and so I had to pivot and turn like a lot of people. But I think from the coaching point of view, I think you're right. It's a blessing in disguise because you are able to coach online, and suddenly where people were maybe resistant to it, suddenly because there's no choice, have absolutely embraced it. So I think you've been probably at the right place at the right time on that score.
Yeah, and that's one of the blessings that has happened is because of the technology and everything where we're at in this time. If this had happened 20 years ago, like the coaching industry would have just crumbled. Like it would have been so hard to maintain. And sure, you could have done it over the phone and things like that, but you never would have had the reach that we have today, like say through Facebook and paid ads and things like that. And so it has been a major blessing that technology is so advanced that we can continue and we can meet with people like this virtually, and we can still connect with people, and it's fantastic. So it has been such a learning experience because my wife is not a tech savvy person, and so she's always coming to me like, oh, this isn't working, I need to do this, and then so I have to hurry and help her, and that's fine. But it's been just a kind of a little bit of a roller coaster lately, and we've enjoyed it. It's super fun, and like you say, there's never a good time to quit your job and do it full time. But I always think of actually just a little experience we had this last week. My wife and I and my oldest daughter decided to go skydiving for the first time.
I saw the picture.
And yes, and it was so amazing. And it's one of those experiences that my wife had done it once before, and so she kind of knew what to expect, but I'd never done it. And when she did it the first time, I'm like, oh, I want to do it so bad, and just give me. I'm not a big fan of heights, and so I knew it would put me out of my comfort zone, which I'm okay with. I'm learning much more how to get out of my comfort zone, but I also knew that it would just be an amazing experience. And so we went this last week finally, and the whole time we were on the ground, I was like, oh, this is gonna be great. I was so excited. I was ready. And then we get up in the plane, and I was in the very back of the plane, and my wife was right in front of me. And you're kind of on these benches. You kind of straddle these benches, and you just kind of slide up the benches. People jump out. So my wife goes, and she jumps, and she's just gone. Like, she's out of the plane and just disappears. And then it's my turn. I get up to the door, and you put your toes right hanging over the plane, and you're looking down, and you're like, holy crap, what did I get myself into? And the guy who you're jumping with, he basically says, okay, I'm going to go rock once, and then we're out. Like, that's it. And so I feel this one, and then we're out of the plane. And you're like, oh, and I'm screaming. I have a picture of me. I don't know if you saw it, but I'm just like, oh, like my face is just, and that first initial like rush of adrenaline was just crazy. And then it was just pure bliss after that. Like, it was just amazing. Like, the wind is blowing. You're falling at 110 miles an hour.
Oh.
And the wind is just blowing, and my goggles felt like they were going to pop off because they're just like, they're shaking like crazy. But you're looking around, and it's just this, you're flying. Like, it's just this amazing, blissful experience. And I kind of relate that to life in general, or taking that leap of that thing that you're really scared of in life. Like, for me, like quitting my job, and so many people, when I was telling them I was quitting my job, I'd get kind of like the, oh, are you sure you want to do that? Are you sure, what about your 401k, and what about your paycheck, and all these things that people kind of put their fears on you.
Yeah.
And so and so I would get that from like coworkers or family, and I'm like, you know what? I've got to take the leap. And I really feel that taking that leap was one of the greatest times that I've had in my life, is just because you never know. I don't know if you know who Steve Harvey is. He's a TV personality over here in the U.S. But he has this little video on YouTube, and he says you just have to take the leap. And you'll never know if your parachute will open unless you take the leap. And he's like, but this I will tell you, your parachute will never open if you never take the leap. And I feel that's true. And so skydiving this last week was just such a reflection on that, of taking that leap and knowing that, there's a small chance that maybe that parachute doesn't open. But if you look at the statistics of people who die from skydiving, it's a very, very small. You probably have a greater chance of dying in your car than from skydiving. But if you don't ever jump, the parachute never will open.
No, that's a really good analogy. I like that.
Yeah.
I take my hat off to you, Adam. My knee would be knocking so badly. I think wild horses wouldn't drag me out of the plane.
Yeah, I must admit, when I got up to that door and I was looking down, I was like, holy cow, what did I get myself into? But again, when you finally leap, it's just pure bliss. It's just amazing. And even when I landed, like we got on the ground, and like the adrenaline was just pumping, and for like probably, I don't know, an hour or an hour and a half or so after that was just like my whole body was just like, I was so excited and pumped still from adrenaline. It was amazing. And then like about 3 hours later, I'm just like, oh, I'm dead. I'm like, I need to lay down for a minute. But it's those times in life that we jump and we put ourselves out there and get out of our comfort zone that real change happens. And I truly believe that. So was it a little scary quitting my job? Yeah, it was. There's security there. But the future of my family and the amount of income that I can earn from helping and doing what I love. That's really what I truly love about it, is a passion of helping other people and seeing their lives transform because of the things that I'm able to help them through. All those limiting beliefs that we put on ourselves that stop us from taking action and things that I dealt with in my life. You know, I had a learning disability when I was young. It was hard for me to learn how to read and write and spell, and I really struggled with that. And it wasn't until I got a little bit older. I mean, I was probably 20. I think I was 25 or 26. I finally decided, maybe I need to go get my degree, my undergrad degree, and I did. And I pushed myself out of my comfort zone, and I did it, even though I'm like, I don't know how well I'm going to do in college, but I did it, and I worked really hard, and I ended up graduating with a 3.93 GPA, so really good grade,
Yeah.
GPA. And then a few years later after that, I decided I'm going to go get my master's degree because I really wanted to prove to myself and to my kids that if I can do it, they can do it. They can do anything.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
Yeah. And it's not necessarily that I feel like everybody has to go get a degree, but it's that ability to know that if I put my time, my energy, and my focus into anything, I can do it. And oftentimes we limit ourselves because of our past experiences, because I thought I was the dumb kid growing up, that I was stupid, and so I limited myself on my abilities. And when I finally decided to show my kids that I believe that you can really go and push yourself, that it changed. And now I've got, my second daughter. My first daughter is not interested in college at all. She's like, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm going to go make money, and I'm not going to work for people. Like, I'm just going to be super wealthy, which is great. My second daughter's like, I think I want to go to college. I'm like, awesome, go do it. I don't think anybody should ever feel like they can't go to college. I don't think it's for everybody, but I do feel that you can learn a lot from going and doing it. So,
I'll tell you what, one of the things I love about interviewing coaches, and particularly mindset coaches, is because you're always so positive, and it's always the possibilities of what people can do, and people forget that actually, the world is an oyster, and actually, and as you said, you was actually doing something that you love. And it always reminds me of that. Yeah, we're here on this planet. We're born and we die, and that's going to happen to everybody. So you might as well enjoy it while you're here.
Yeah.
And try and do what it is you enjoy the best. Otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah, exactly. There's the old adage that you only live once, and I actually really hate that. I believe that you live every day instead.
I like that.
So I think that every day you can live, you can be happy, you can be joyful, and you can do things that are exciting. Going skydiving was exciting. Yeah. Was there a small chance I could die? Absolutely, but at least I can say I lived and I put myself out there. And now I have an amazing experience to tell people about. And I urge everybody to go and do something like that. If skydiving's not your thing, go find something out there that you enjoy or that you feel is going to push you out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And just get you in that mindset of, okay, if this is something that my mind is telling me I shouldn't be doing, I probably should be doing it because it's going to push me.
Exactly. So, people always say we grow in our, when we're outside of our comfort zone, that's what makes us grow and everything. Yeah. So another question for you. So the coaching business is going, are you open to new clients coming on?
I am, yeah. Yeah, I have a few open spots if anybody is interested in reaching out to me and just applying. So I have a few questions that I ask people who are looking to coach with me, and just to get to know them better, what their goals. I'm an achievement coach, so I always want to know, like, okay, what are your goals? How do you feel like you can go after those things? So yeah, you can contact me at arisetoconnect.com. My information, my email is on there. It's just Adam Platt at arisetoconnect.com is my email. So you can send me an email. But I'm getting ready to start a brand new group coaching program as well. And if you also just want to get on my mailing list and also grab a free copy of my workbook, it's called Mindset for Success. It's what I call the 4x4 Mindset Toolkit. Basically, I lay out the 4 things that you should be doing right now to move yourself forward, and the 4 things you should stop doing. So things like negative talk, negative self-talk, and things like that. So it's a workbook. It has questions you work through, and you can grab that free copy at Rise to Connect.
Oh, we got Adam just a little bit. Cool. Sorry, Adam. You just had a little bit. We had a little bit of a freeze then. So,
sorry.
So can you just run us through the 4x4 mindset toolkit again? Sorry, it was just frozen.
Yeah, no problem. So I call it the 4x4 mindset toolkit, and basically it's the top 4 things I feel that you need to stop doing in your life, and then the 4 things you need to start doing in your life to really shift your mindset to have greater success. And so in the workbook, there's questions that you work through and worksheets that you can go through, and it just helps you get more clarity on your goals and what you want in life, and things to really stop, beating yourself up about. And so you can grab a free copy of that at arise2connect.com/mindset-for-success. And
and those links are already in the comments when we pulled that.
Perfect.
When we pulled that little graphic up, that put those links in as well. And would you suggest that if someone wanted to work with you, they should go through that workbook first?
Yeah, they certainly can, or you could reach out to me directly. Like I say, you can just email Adam Platt at arise2connect.com, and I'll just send you just say, hey, I'm interested. I saw your interview with Nick, and I'm interested in possibly working with you, and I'll send you a quick questionnaire, fill it out, send it back to me, and I'll look at your answers and see if we're a good fit. And if for some reason I don't have an open spot or something like that, I can direct you to either my group coaching, which is also amazing, where there's an online aspect where like an online portal where there's each week certain things that you work through, pre-recorded videos, and then I also do a live training every week as well. So that's a new program that I'm getting up and running as we speak. So.
Oh, fantastic! And so will the details of that be on the website as well?
Yes.
Oh, fantastic! And that's one of that's one of the things I always love about being online, is that yes, and particularly for you coaches. I mean, yeah, you can do your one-on-ones, but then you can also do the group as well. And I got to admit, I find in a group really beneficial, because it's like a hive mind, isn't it? People feed off each other, and it's nice. From my various groups, I always know that if on like live streaming, as an example, I always know that if something's changed, and Facebook does do that a lot, we're pretty much the first to know.
Yeah, definitely.
That's cool. So to wrap up, Adam, where do you what are your dreams and goals that you still want to accomplish and achieve?
My dreams and goals, there's so many out there. Actually, one of the things that my wife and I truly believe in is vision boards, and right now I have 9 main goals I have on my vision board, and I believe in going big when it comes to goals and looking at your future. I don't believe in SMART goals. I believe SMART goals are great for like short action steps, but when I talk about goals, I say go big, go really big. And so I have coaching many people, teaching from stage many people is some of my goals. Impacting, as I'd love to impact millions of people eventually. And of course, I have some selfish goals like becoming a New York Times best-selling author and things like that. But that also, not only is it's not just becoming that New York Times best-selling author, it's the impact of that really.
Yeah.
What it shows, right? Like if you have that many people buying your book, it means people are consuming that content, and hopefully lives are being impacted. So
Absolutely, absolutely. And even then, it's just, again, it's another gateway to a better life, and that's, or a more empowered life, or self-empowered life. But
Exactly.
I love your speak on stage. I hope that one day that you can speak on stage again, as opposed to online. That would be incredible. Have you done have you done much speaking from stage before? The shutdown or?
We have done some, and we're looking to do a lot more. My wife has a vision of traveling all over the world and speaking. We have a dream actually here in the next couple of years of possibly just taking our kids full time out of school and just traveling the world for at least a year full time. And so in that, we want to also set up, where we're speaking from stages and impacting people as we do that. But so yeah, we have a lot of big dreams, a lot of big goals, and a lot of that includes impacting other people, because it's like a raindrop falling into a big lake, and then the ripple effect that goes out from there. I really believe that we can have a big impact on people. Even just that small little fire can cause a huge flame. So.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, just a little spark can start so much. Adam, you've been an amazing guest. Thank you. The time always flies when I'm chatting to interesting people, and it's actually flown by again. So, what can I say? Looking forward to meeting the other half of the team later on. That's going to be amazing. If you just wait there very quickly, Adam, I'll just close the show for the guys. Well, hey, what a great start to Open for Business USA version. What a great guy. And it's great. And I say this often, and it's true. When you're having a chat with someone that's so interesting that, the time just goes. And that's the thing is, what an amazing story. I'm sure there was so much more that Adam could tell us. But as I say, we're in for the second half, which is 8 o'clock UK time. Do tune in. We've got Adam's wife, Lacey Platt. So, Lacey, you've got a hard act to follow, but I'm sure you'll be amazing. Anyway, guys, until later on, this is Nick. We're signing out.